Hello, I'm Arthur. Welcome to my lab. When I first started building this printer, I used these extrusions, this size extrusions, which are the shortest ones that come in the kit, for the crossbars for my bed. So these extrusions right there are this size. And I thought that when I upgrade to a bed that is 400 millimeters, I will be able to simply slide these X direction extrusions that go across the printer, just slide them out to accommodate bigger bed. But these extrusions are starting to get in the way as I build this printer. In the front I have my controller board, and these long or wide extrusions are looks like are about to hit the controller and all the wires that are connected to it. So in the end, I've decided to cut them down to the correct size for the 300 millimeter bed. So this extrusion will go here just like in the original Hypercube design. And I ended up using just one of these to make two of these, and I ended up with this small cut-off piece. And if I upgrade to a larger bed, to 400 millimeter, which I believe is the maximum size that can be used in this frame, I will just print larger extenders here that will just little arms here, mounting arms, that will reach out farther. Going from 300 millimeters to 400 millimeters will mean extending the mount points by 50 millimeters on each side. So I will need arms that are about 50 millimeters longer than original arms, and I'll be all set. I'll be able to use the same setup, same mount, without having to readjust anything, without having to move my Z smooth rods. Just replace the plastics and I'll be good to go. So that's the current plan for that. Another issue that I've ran into is that with the Y end stop switch, which is hiding right here right now because I moved it, with this end stop switch being mounted here right up against the motor plastic like in the original design, this allowed my Y carriage to go much farther towards the front, and my X carriage then would hit my extra Z rods, which are located here, and my front Z threaded rod. So the front of the X carriage is sticking out so far that it would crash against these rods. So I had to move out this switch, and I hope you can see it here. You can at least see the bracket for it. I had to slide this switch out far enough so that my carriage, when it's all the way forward, doesn't hit any of the rods here. So I think I will need to print a new bracket to mount this end stop, because right now it's only held by the friction, and as the Y-axis zeros, each time it bumps it a little bit, and I'm afraid that it might bump it out of the position. And actually I put a little zip tie here to increase the friction. Hopefully this will help, but I think a new mount will be needed. And I've cleaned up my wiring a little bit. Here's the wire for the Y motor right here, and it connects to the harness, which is covered in black plastic mesh sleeving, and it just sits inside of the extrusions here. Goes all the way across behind the extruder and then down to the controller board, and I hold it in place along with some other wires like the flat ribbon here for my display. I hold it down with these clips here. Just a simple clip that snaps on my extrusion, and it's nice because it will hold both the wires that are inside of the extrusion and also the flat ribbon. It just snaps against it and holds it in place. And I started installing my power supply. Here's the box with the power inlet with some connectors on it, and here's the red wire going to my power switch, and another wire will be going back from the power switch to the power supply, but I need to finish up wiring the power supply and getting it ready for that. I cut my crossbars to size, I mounted them, I made sure that everything was flat, and then I had to level the bed. So I made sure I used this ruler to measure the height of the bed, the distance from the frame to this crossbar on my bed, and I made sure that I had the same distance in the front and in the back, and I measured that actually in a couple spots. Right now the ruler doesn't reach all the way down because I've moved the bed. I made a print, but anyway, I made sure that the bed was flat, and then I had to readjust my height of the bed, readjust my screws to make sure that the bed was perfectly flat. And to do this, I actually created nice mount for my dial gauge. So here's a dial gauge that I use, and I created this mount for it, this bracket, which allows me to mount it on my x-axis, and then I can slide it along the x-axis and also move the axis up and down and measure the level of the bed. And then I used the screws to make sure that the bed was exactly even, exactly flat. So now even without the auto leveling, my bed is pretty level. And then I'm going to add BL touch sensor for auto bed leveling, but I think it's still a great idea to make sure that your bed is level even before using your auto leveling. Your bed should be as flat as possible. That just makes it easier for auto leveling process to then adjust for whatever is left. So that's the current state of my build. I made a print. It looks nice. We're getting there. Soon this printer will be completed.